Hello everyone and welcome back to Rob's Gaming Table. Today on the table we have a special Game of Thrones 2nd edition spoiler video for you. Thanks to the awesome folks at Fantasy Flight Games for sending over a couple Baratheon spoilers from the upcoming The Red Wedding chapter pack. And we're here to show them to you and discuss them. And I've brought along my senior Red Wedding correspondent, Kevin. Kevin, say hi.
Hi, this is Kevin and today's video is brought to you by Neil. Ever feeling overwhelmed? Try Neil.
Yes, Baron Neil is back. So Kevin, do you want to read our first card?
Absolutely. Our first card is an event from the little mini cycle they've been doing in the Blood and Gold cycle. So it is the Saving the Kingdom. It is a loyal 2-cost event. It is a challenges action. Choose and kneel a character with 3 strength or lower. That character cannot stand during the standing phase this round. And it has the reaction, after you win dominance, pay 1 gold to return Saving the Kingdom from your discard pile to your hand. So it's interesting. It's a good addition to the cycle with Dragon is No Slave, Guarding the Realm, etc. So things that it can kneel. It's good for maesters or the 4-cost 3 strength guys like Cello or Rattleshirts Raiders. And not standing, it's just a good way to keep them down for a couple turns. What do you think, Rob?
Yeah, I didn't catch that at first when I read it, the whole kneeling characters for 2 rounds. So even if you don't win dominance that same round you do this, if you get one of these going, you can create that like cycle. And I like the way the cycle, or like the recursion of this event, not like the Dragon is No Slave, where you could kind of do that in the same phase. This, you're kind of, you don't need it now because the kneel is happening for 2 rounds basically because they don't stay in the standing phase. You just need to recur this every second round kind of, to keep it effective. But I mean, if you're playing, you're getting it back to do the next round on a different character, that's great. So like the more the merrier. But I like the way you have to win dominance to get it back. I think that plays well into the themes of Baratheon. And it does this now, some kneel here. This can go with the new Mel even maybe to help the winning dominance. And if you're taking out the R'hllor cards, or actually the R'hllor Mel, I guess the Neil Mel, Corset Mel is what I'm trying to say, if you're taking her out of the deck and then you're losing some of that Neil, maybe adding this in kind of helps add some more Neil back to that dominance themed deck.
It's a good buffer. Some of the targets overlap with a Shy Priestess, and Mel's kneel is unrestricted, so you can kneel the larger strength characters, but it is a good addition with either of the Melisandres.
Yeah, just like that, it's like kneel that can go with that dominance theme deck that, Mel, obviously, of course, that Mel helps dominance by kneeling big dudes. It makes sense, right. But some people are not running the new Mel really yet because the old Mel. So if you start maybe giving them some more cards to help with that kneel to then help win dominance, then triggering new big Mel, then, that might help it. So I think this kind of goes with helping that deck also, which I kind of like. The other thing is it's a little expensive. It works with fealty because it's loyal. Yep. Does it just replace Ours is the Fury in Bear decks?
No, I think those go in different directions. Ours is the Fury you'll use more with if you are still playing original Stannis, Big Rob, and maybe either Mel. But I think they do different. I think they have different tasks there.
Agreed. And some of the other characters that it kneels that were significant. I know you mentioned Cello, like Rattleshirts Raiders, but some other popular characters on the board that I see that this is good for is like Arya Stark, Ser Davos, Syrio, Theon Greyjoy, and the popularity of Targ right now. This can keep like Rhaegal and Viserion down for a couple rounds, which can help Bera maybe come back in the meta a little bit because Targ and their stand abilities lately, I believe, is the reason why you don't see much Baratheon at tournaments. So maybe this kind of event can help push them back in there to help fight Targ off and make them have to use that stand effect even more on just little dragons and stuff. So I think it's good for countering that. And the other interesting thing, just looking ahead at some of the spoilers, so you think this is only hitting these like 4 costs and less characters. Some interesting things, looking at the future Walder Frey and Beric Dondarrion. So Walder Frey,
absolutely.
He's just 3 strength off the bat, right? I know there's some buffs there with Frey characters and whatnot that might help counter this, but Beric, that interesting X strength, so this is not printed strength, so when he gets down to uses a few of those tokens and 3 of them, and he's down to that 3 strength range, then you're keeping Beric down for a couple rounds. I think that's pretty cool counter to that. But yeah, not printed strength, so any strength modifiers on top of that. So I don't know if Bera has access to any of that stuff, or if any popular Bera decks with banners would even have access to strength reduction. But that could help this out too. But
And yeah, I did mention Chella, but it's not printed strength, so if she has any ear tokens, this will not help you out there. Another thing, a couple of weeks ago, younger and much more ruggedly handsome Rob St. John asked me about Light of the Lord from Guarding the Realm, on whether that gold would have any use when it triggers and gets you it during dominance. So
that is true.
This is a good synergy, as it gives you gold, and then if you do win dominance, you can get Saving the Kingdom back.
Yeah, and that, it goes great. Those pair very well together. You're absolutely right. Now we're seeing why that gold is important, and
Yes.
more important than just winning dominance.
Yeah, it's good for the +1 for dominance, but yeah, also some events that you might want to play during the dominance or standing phase.
Yeah,
this is a good synergy that they've added during the cycle.
Yeah, very good catch. I like that. So as usual, Kevin, do you have anything else to say on this card?
No, I think it's a good match. It's good on the theme. It gets both of the themes in Baratheon for the Neil and the dominance.
Yeah,
and it should be useful.
Yeah, definitely plays nice there. If you guys have any comments, reactions, any thoughts on this event and the next card we spoiled, make sure you guys leave them in the comments below this video, and yeah, we can read them and discuss down there, because I'm sure we're missing some stuff that you guys are catching and some cool interactions. So that'd be great to hear from you guys. So we'll jump to our next card here.
I just want to point out, you wanted to discuss the art on Saving the Kingdom. It's just Stannis' forces arriving north of the wall to save the kingdom from those dastardly wildlings.
Oh, that's what that is. It does look cool, though. I love, like, wide shots like that in the art, for sure.
Gives a good perspective.
Yeah, that's cool. I would like a full print of that art, actually. That would look pretty neat. All right, so on to the next card. We have a character. He is 4 cost, 4 strength, military, and power. He's unique. It's Sir Axel Florent. He is non-loyal, and he has the trait House Florent. He also has a trait Knight, and he has a keyword Bestow 3, and that is when this card enters play, move up to 3 gold from your gold pool to this card, which is the keyword that they introduced in this Blood and Gold cycle. And he also has a reaction. After you win a challenge in which Sir Axel Florent is participating, discard 1 gold from him to choose and kneel a character without attachments. So, just thinking on the bestow keyword, so this guy, you see the 4 cost, 4 strength, military, power, you're thinking those are pretty decent stats, seems pretty good, but then you add that bestow keyword in there, and then you see his reaction paired, and I don't see a situation where you're going to play this guy and not put any gold on him, so he then increases in cost, and then is the value really there, and you have to make sure you can get that trigger off. So I like that little balance of risk and reward to this character, because he also, I feel, is weak to Tears of Lys and like Milk of the Poppy, and Nightmares in general, I guess, if you can get that off. But yeah, what else we got here?
Well, it's not unlike other characters that don't have bestow, that just are overcosted, like 6 for 4. Like you had Blackfish, and he was Nightmares to Milk. It's a similar situation where it's the same the same size. But
yeah, true.
Yeah, it's still. I think he'll still see some use. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I don't know. He's good. It seems very powerful. I like the way he doesn't have to kneel the character. Like, he just has to be participating for 1. So it doesn't mean he has to be attacking alone, which you see some limits on characters with powerful effects. And the cool thing is he can kneel a character not even in the challenge, so a bigger character that didn't go in on that, and that helps maybe bait some of those bigger characters into the challenge, where the opponent's usually in that situation like, well, if I don't put him in, he's going to get an ult anyway, so then that you can bait them with this guy to get them to kneel a bigger guy and then get through another challenge you want to get through. The cool part with melee is, now that I've been playing that recently at some of the regionals, this whole can kneel any character, you can hit another opponent at the table. So you can play that little game of like, hey buddy, let me win my challenge with Axel Florent against you, and unopposed, and I'll kneel this guy over here to help you out, and that kind of thing. So I think it's kind of cute. But he's also the other thing he's weak to, just thinking about it, seeing that 4 strength. That 4 strength, we've all been trained. When you see that on a card, the value of that card has to be looked at in a different way because of Dracarys or Crown of Gold. So seeing that there kind of also scares me about putting 4 gold into this guy base, and then stick another 2-3 gold on top of him, or even 1, and then you're paying that extra gold that could be gone as you pass your marshalling over to your opponent with the Crown of Gold, or just with burn as soon as you get into the challenge phase. There's that risk there. So
Yeah, it's just one of those things that you have to consider when you're playing. Similar to Lannister, when you had Cersei or Tyrion, you have to decide who you're gonna risk and throw away, and
Yep.
then keep your preferred character back.
Yep.
So similar to this, if you have original Mel, then you probably don't want her dying. So maybe you're fine with throwing down Sir Axel Florent.
Yeah, true. It's one of those things where, like, as more great characters come into the game, you start getting that whole, oh, this guy sucks if he gets milked or nightmares. But then you start thinking, wait, my other bigger, better characters in the deck, if they're milking and nightmaresing this guy, then they're not doing it to this other guy. You know, it's just another target. So you can overwhelm your opponent with just great characters. Then those cards don't have as much impact, I guess, is how I'd look at it. But so there's always that argument. The other cool thing is if you play this guy out and you maybe put 1 gold or 2 gold on him, the cool thing is if you can get him in play and keep him in play against a deck that can't really get rid of him, you then have that card, Unbridled Generosity, coming later, where you can move gold onto these bestow cards.
Yep.
So there's always that cool interaction coming down the pipe where, you know, you may not have to make that decision right there on the spot. So just getting him into play, and if I know it's kind of combo-y and janky, and I don't know if people will really be playing that stuff, but if they really value this bestow keyword, and you know, players want to have that flexibility, they throw a couple of those events in their deck, and then they're able to, you know, build Voltron-y decks, or just try to keep these characters in play. Maybe play 3 copies of them instead of just 1, so they can dupe them up and get them out and play, and then just kind of use their ability over and over again. So I think that's kind of cool.
And Unbridled Generosity is it's an unrestricted action, so it can be done at any phase. So if you could do things like throwing him in with no gold and then bestowing him after they declare no defenders, or won't be winning the challenge.
Oh wow. Okay, that's even cooler than I thought. That's actually pretty competitive, pretty sick. I like stuff like that.
Do you have any thoughts on the without attachments restriction here? I think that's a good balancing point.
I do like that because it does promote having positive attachments in your deck, and I really think that's good, and you know, might prevent people from just going negative attachment crazy, and even not including attachments at all. I like the way FFG's kind of made attachments relevant, and in first edition that was not a thing, where you barely put any attachments in your deck and most people just didn't care. But I like the way there's promoting that here as a way to protect your character. So if this guy got out of control, you can always be like, hey dude, you could have just put any positive attachment in your deck, bodyguards, you know, adding icons, even those basic cards like that.
Yeah.
And protect your characters, so you can't really complain. I like that.
I just want to point out, I don't know how much it's been discussed before, but bestow isn't when it's marshaled, it's only when it enters play. So if you were playing Banner Sun, or if you bannered him into Martell, you could use Ariane or anything that comes out in the future to
that's a good idea, actually.
Into play.
Yeah, I like that. I like when you can sneak stuff in like that, and then people aren't ready for it. And then, you know, maybe you've done a challenge first, an intrigue with Arion. They've knelt some guys on the board. Now you pop this guy into play, and maybe they don't have enough standing to deal with it. And then you kneel out what they have left if they don't put in the challenge, that kind of thing. And just puts that...
Yeah, just having that extra gold for being more flexible.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, saving a couple gold, they might think you have like Vengeance for Elia or something, and then you pop this guy into play, throw a couple gold on him, and then whole different challenge phase ahead.
Do you think he's a good, even just a one of in Banner Stag for anything?
I was going to actually say that, since he is non-loyal, and sometimes that inconsistency of adding the Banner Stag with Mel and some of the roar cards you get, you lose a few access to some of the roar cards because they're loyal. Throwing this guy in with Mel kind of just adds that extra kneel. So if you're trying to throw that control into another main faction, I think it's just cool that there's another choice there, like another kneel option to make it more consistent.
Yep.
So yeah, I think he's great for the banner for sure. Yeah, definitely a one of. I see this guy as mainly a one of, to be honest. Especially until that maybe that event comes later, then you want to keep him in play more. And if you're building your deck around the bestow keyword and using that event, then maybe you throw 3 of this guy in and try to get him out there.
The traits. So House Florent hasn't come up yet. Well, hasn't come up as a any in text at all, other than just other traits. But if he, can you think of any interactions with Knight? The first thing that comes to mind is if you put Mare and Heat on him and he does go in alone, then either you're kind of kneeling, like they have to defend with multiple things to win, and then you're kneeling that way, or
he
wins and you're deciding who gets knelt.
Oh my god. So is Marin Heat is not limited to like a Tyrell character, it's just knights, right?
It's knight is the only restriction.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's cool. I never even thought of that. I was trying to think of stuff with knight, and I was going to ask you the same thing, because I just couldn't really think of any like practical, because you don't think of Baratheon as like your faction for knights, really, but
No, they do have some.
Yeah, they do,
but they don't always synergize the best with say Attorney for the King or Named Attorney, the newer plot.
Mm-hmm.
But it could be.
But yeah, bannering it in with your knights into, let's say, just being crazy here. So the Tyrell, you go knights, you banner to stag. Now you're throwing this knight in, like I think Sir Davos, right? He's non-loyal.
Sir Davos, the original Sir Davos,
yeah,
is non-loyal.
Yeah, so then you're adding some different knights in from another faction. You could add some Neil in with that bear package. So this guy and Mel and whatever. Now you're maybe helping those knights win challenges alone more often, since the opponent's characters are getting knelt out. So you can kneel out the ones that could even defend if you're not getting your Marin Heats going or that kind of thing. So I don't know, that could help with the control on that, is winning challenges alone or whatever with knights. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just interesting. But yeah, so overall, I guess, what do you think about both these cards, Kevin? What do you think about them on the power, competitive, I'd put these in my deck kind of scale? What do you think?
I'm not a huge Barra player recently, but yeah, I think they're both competitive and good contenders for card slots.
Oh, I have to agree. I think both these will see play pretty instantly. They're not. I don't think either of them have to really await for any future cards to come down the pack. It's not one of those cards where you look at them and you're like, oh damn, I could see that a few cycles down the road if FFG prints any cards that help them out, that kind of thing. But no, I think these go slot right in with the themes that are already there, and Barra players who want to increase their Neil options or just add more Neil to their existing Barra control-y decks. You have that here, and has Baratheon got their gold producing location yet? Their
no, that is in the 5th pack, I believe. Yes, the 5th pack. There's Northern Encampment, and there's speculation that it doesn't stand in the standing phase unless you win dominance that round.
Okay, so I can see that. I can see that is maybe one thing to be waiting on until that's released, because both these cards, yeah, the fealty reduction on Saving the Kingdom is there, I guess, but the other one there's no reduction there, and no Lord Trade or anything on Sir Axel Florent. So just these are pricey cards if you think about it, like especially if you're throwing 3 bestow on Sir Axel Florent. So I can see them maybe waiting for that bigger economy boost coming down the road. And with Sir Axel Florent not being 6 cost or higher, great hauls, yes, they work on him, but that's not, you know, it's not ideal. So
right.
I just can see maybe Barra saying, hey, we want a little more economy before we start running these cards. But I think Axel Florent's going in as a 1-of for sure. And Saving the Kingdom, I can see that being slotted into those Barra and Neil decks.
I didn't play in 1st edition, but did Sir Axel Florent always look like Gargamel from the Smurfs?
I do not remember. But yes, he does look like Gargamel from the Smurfs. That is awesome. Oh, wow. All right, so I guess we'll wrap it up there. Like I said before, if any of you guys, viewers out there, you see these cards and you have any comments, reactions, thoughts, any cool little combos that we're not thinking of, or any ways to make these cards even better, or yeah, even negative thoughts on these cards, would you play them if you're a Barra player? Let us know in the comments below. Love to hear that, love to read that. And yeah, Kevin, any last thoughts?
No, I want to end on that Smurf thing.
All right, and Kevin's dropping the mic on Gargamel. All right, so thanks a lot for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit that like button if you like these spoiler videos, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye-bye.